All right, to speak more on these new recruits, let's now welcome JP Louw, South African National Parks spokesperson. JP, a very good afternoon to you and thank you so much for your time. So this has been described as an elite group of ranger recruits that are now trained for the strategic purpose of, as we've heard in that clip, battling criminal threats facing the parks, whilst also maintaining that role of nature conservation. Just walk us through the decision, firstly, to introduce this SEAM kind of military training and perhaps the significance of the type of training, to fight crime, particularly when you look at, some of South Africa's national parks and in particular Table Mountain, as we've been hearing.
Yeah, well, the team, it's called the Sea Mountain Team, Aerial and Air Mountain Team. Was introduced around December 2021. You would appreciate that we have had a lot of public outcry around the issue of crime on Table Mountain National Park, but there's also other environmental related crimes that we have to deal with, poaching, for example, and other incidences. And also you do find that in some of these cases, you're dealing with criminals who can be but sophisticated in character. All of this is what has overall informed our approach in terms of investing in making sure that Table Mountain National Park becomes a safe place for all visitors who come to the park, and that in the main, those who come to the park don't find themselves being affected negatively by crime. And the team itself, in terms of how they are prepared, they're also integrated into the cross functions of the organization. It's a cross-functional nature of the unit, includes specialized operations that utilizes information driven intervention. So they use quite a bit of intelligence as well. We work together with the South African Police Service and also work with the city of Cape Town. So we do share information with each other, do joint operations, and a lot of all of this sort of like data, many a time also inform how the SEAM team itself gets deployed around specific areas to make sure that we don't have criminal cases there.
And I'm going to come back about that collaborative effort. We heard in that clip that the teams have recorded some successes in their operations, as you've also alluded to. But can you talk us through some of these successes, perhaps where you are also facing challenges? Because as you've also rightfully say, there have been a number of concerns, particularly for tourists around areas like Table Mountain.
Since the SEAM team was established in December 2021, as I've said, they have conducted about 116 successful arrests. So since the inception, they've had that number of successes, which I don't think is a small feat. If you understand what tends to happen in terms of criminal activities, is that it's not as if it tends to be widespread everywhere at any particular moment. You would find that the incidences tend to be concentrated in a particular area. So when they have arrested a person or a group of persons, it means that they have really dealt with what could have been quite an escalating number of criminal incidences that comes from that specific area. But even in that time, there are other success stories that can be spoken about. They've had just close to 90 helicopter deployments as well in their work. They've done over 1,000 foot patrols as well. They work with the K9 unit. They've done over 400 deployments of those as well. So there's a whole number of successes that can be mentioned in this regard. In terms of this team that we've been able to train successfully, who have graduated now, all of this is also made possible through partnership, in this case with the South African Honorary Rangers, as well as the Table Mountain Fund and the Foundation for a Sustainable Future. So the issue also about resourcing as well, of course, plays quite a big role in making sure that we are successful.
I mean, with crimes like poaching that you also earlier mentioned being so advanced and organized, you also mentioned collaboration with other law enforcement authorities. I mean, do these also include transnational crime levels? Perhaps also just give us a sense of the trends that you are picking up as you share information with other law enforcement authorities?
The thing about criminals, I mean, if criminals generally tend to be invested in a range of different activities at one go. Though we might be focused, for example, on abalone poaching, you may find that those who operate as syndicates also have vested interests elsewhere. I mean, you've seen in the media, they will be hearing about the Chinese national or those sorts of persons who get at times arrested in various other parts of the country, 41 or other different type of crimes. And this collaboration with the SAPS, the collaboration with the city, make sure that when we deal with the criminal elements, it's an all-inclusive space that we create to engage with each other. We've established something that's called the Table Mountain National Park Safety Forum that meets every week, convened by the South African Police Service, where all three of us as the parties come together. Our operations centers are linked to one another, where we share intelligence with one another as well. So whatever this one finds, they're able to share through to the other party as well, and so on. So yes, indeed, you do find instances where criminal elements go beyond just what I want to call issues that are within the purview just of the park, that are linked to other activities. But the way of our organization is of such a nature that it's intended also to take care of that.
All right, JP, thank you so much for that. JP Louw is with SANParks. He's a spokesperson there, of course, following the 24 new recruits that have joined the Table Mountain National Park SEAM Ranger team.